Buddy Buddies were ready at 25 to 30.
So this is 25 minutes for the second rinse?
This is 35.
35 for the second rinse? How long for the first rinse?
We rinse after we start draining at 10 or 11 minutes, and it's usually filled up by 15.
And then after that 15, you gave it another 35?
And no, this is all on one timer.
So it's 17 minutes between starting to slice a box?
17 to 18, you don't want more than 20. Connor, I'm dropping!
Most of these are... they fall over. At 120 he dropped them. So you drain all of it and all the slices are left in there? Are you going to spray off all that starch somehow?
Basically, these are pretty much ready, so I'm going to be pulling these and putting them into that tub in the next couple minutes.
Okay.
You don't really want them to be... I mean, they can sit for most of the fry, and these would get to like 41, 42, but that's about as that's getting to the point where they're then getting too soft. You've basically got a window of while those are frying to pull these out. And sometimes you want to do it right away. Sometimes I think they're still a little too hard and I want them to go for another 5 minutes.
Okay, so there is still water surrounding them.
Yeah, you have to leave enough down there to obviously get all the starch off before you transfer over.
And so when that one's empty, after you get all those out of there, you'll start filling it with water?
Yeah.
And you'll start slicing before you start filling with water, or at the same time?
You'll get, it's a very specific rotation. Sometimes you have to be doing 2, 3 things at once. But I'll explain to you what I'm doing as I'm doing it and why.
Okay. So you start stirring them after about a minute. How much of a box did you fry?
Half.
Half a box.
I go half and half every time.
25 pounds. So these still have a little bit of starch on them from that water there, but
this does a really good job of getting most of it off. Connor still uses 3 or 4 and drains them, but I prefer to do it all by hand.
you wouldn't want a big colander to put them all in?
A big what?
Colander, big round thing, always in the bottom.
I mean, it depends on how well that would efficiently... The thing about this is I'm able to get it in this and then go sideways. And that's what then takes a lot of that out, especially with me pushing. I don't know if me just putting them in there with holes at the bottom wouldn't get enough of the water off. Now it's getting low. Drain the rest of it. Do they still do 4 sinks or 3?
They do 4, I think. Is it draining right now?
Yeah.
This one's at 40. It's been in for about 3 minutes. I'm not stirring from the other side anymore.
Well, not all the smoke going that way. It's weird how this fryer decides to sometimes smoke out here and sometimes smoke out there. When it's going out there, you don't want to go out there.
The steam's too hot.
Yeah.
Can you tell right now, after 3 minutes, how these are going to turn out, color-wise?
No, all changing in the last minute. And I always rotate the sheets.
Left side to right side? Big circle?
Yeah, one big right. This way. Because this side is definitely hotter. About when even chips there, just stir them. they come out.
Side
way
farthest from the burner is the hottest.
Where the holes are. That's
Where the holes are. Okay. Do you have any problem with them sticking together?
I do when they're super starchy and they haven't been rinsed off before they go into the fryer.
How about pillow chips?
We have that problem often when the fryer messes up, but this is a good fry.
That's related to the temperature of the oil.
Yeah.
Right now, the oil is, it says 132 over there. What did you drop at?
150. Well, our temperature set at 154, but it normally can get up to like 168. After the burner turns off, it'll go all the way up to 168. We'll drop, and it got down to 129 as the lowest.
After the drop?
After the drop, and now it's slowly going back up to 154.
You won't ever have to turn the pump off unless you start having issues.
We turn off the burner first, and then press the red button, the stop button at the bottom, and that is turning off the pump. And then we immediately turn the pump back on, and that's once the pump is not moving, it's not moving at all.
So it's only off for like 30 seconds to a minute?
Less than 30 seconds. As soon as I see the last turn on that stop, I start it.
Oh.
And it seems to fix the problem. I don't know why, but I think that maybe there's something jammed in the pipes that the oil, when it's moving, it won't.
So now you're at 520.
Starting to get some color.
So these aren't going to be perfect color?
These aren't going to be perfect color. I can tell. You can tell just by kind of like this stripe down there.
Yeah.
These are going to be good. But not like the golden crisp look that we
In the beginning?
Yeah.
Buddy Buddies gave those the list?
Yeah, I'd say it was pretty good on Sweaty Buddy, but definitely was never the same since the first time, since we opened.
So how much more time do you think these have?
Probably less than a minute.
So right now you're at 6 minutes, 10 seconds. So 7 minutes is about the length.
I've seen chips get done in less than 6 minutes, though. I've timed it. It's weird.
Definitely some darker color on them. You don't think that's related to the rinsing? Because they were pretty soft and don't put them in.
They would be burnt if they didn't go through that soaking process. Look to the dark and caramelized. So it's minute 9 right now on sink 3. So
Okay.
it's like a minute or two before I'm going to start greening it.
Minute nine. Which one's sink 3? Which one's sink 3?
1, 2, 3.
Okay. So it's reading 9:16.
Because I'm starting sink 1.
Oh, that's sink 1. So when you start that timer,
Once it's done, it's sliced. So right now, as soon as it hits like 10 and a half minutes, start greening 3. So I'm going to have hopefully a third to half of this box sliced before water even starts filling up.
how sharp are your blades?
We just replaced them. They were pretty dull.
So Connor has lifted those up. They're like a good batch of our chips. They're browner than Denver chips used to.
See those are lighter?
They're darker than yours used to be. So this is soaking over here. It's been 10 minutes since
10 minutes and 10:18. So right now I would come over here and I just start draining.
That's the first drain.
Yep.
This is the first draining.
First, yeah. We only drain it once.
Oh, you don't fill the sink up a second time?
No, just one rinse.
You guys used to do 2 though, didn't you?
Yeah, we used it.
Have you thought about doing a second rinse just to compare?
No, they'd get too soft.
Putting in the second half of the first box.
Is that the color you're getting back home?
Yeah. And these are what temperature, I wonder?
Probably 65 to 67.
How much pressure are you putting down?
Changes depending on how dull the blades are.
And you have that thing in the middle dividing them, that's it?
Yep.
How many
The reason
potatoes?
we like the 5 to 9s is because with the hundreds, oftentimes you can't find a potato that's small enough to fit in there.
To get 3 on each level?
To get 3 on each level. But with
You
the 5 to
do, you
9s,
do 2 levels at once or 3?
yeah, and a lot of times they'll go 1 in the middle there too. 2 levels.
6 potatoes at a time then?
Sometimes 7. A lot of times I can get 7 in there.
So this is going to be empty pretty soon.
Pretty soon, and then I'm gonna start filling it up.
So it is the second. That is the second rinse. Then.
This is the first rinse.
It's already soaked once, and then you drain
You
it.
call the initial soaking a rinse.
Yeah, that's number 1.
We've never called that a rinse.
Okay.
This is the bad one. Let me show you what I do. So when I hear the fryer come on, like this early,
Yeah.
it's gonna pop on any second, and it's sitting at 148. It should be down at 135 when it actually kicks on. Just turned on.
Yeah.
I turn it off. Off with the pump.
Until you watch that thing
Yes,
spinning.
It's done spinning right now.
Now it's done.
On it goes. And as soon as you see the temperature, I turn back on the heat. And as you'll see, in the next 30 seconds, it's going to drop to 129, whereas it's 145.
So it's reading incorrect temperature.
It's reading incorrect temperature and not getting oil through the holes. If I had not done that, the oil would have came out extremely hot.
You'd have burn chips.
Burnt chips along with bubble chips, and they just make for bad chips. So as you can see, it's already dropping down real fast.
This is only your second try, too.
I know. It's honestly kind of weird that happened so early.
So this one is filling up again. What did the timer say on number 1?
13.
When did you start filling it up again? Like 12?
I started draining at 10, and it was done by 13, and then I was draining it down to
Sync 2 has been 31 minutes, and this is going to be ready to fry at about 35.
About 35.
It's the very next one to go.
So that's why everything is kind of in a perfect sync. Can't get behind, otherwise your sinks get behind.
So do you fill this one up to the very brim?
Yep. And then I don't even turn the water off. I immediately bring it to here because this sink is almost completely fried, or almost completely
Full of potatoes. And those were
I'm not actually gonna
bruises.
finish it
Those were
because I have
bruises.
to-
How'd you know that those were bruised on the inside?
you can see like foam growing on the outside. Remove this one.
So this is almost ready to have the hose put into that number 3.
Yeah. That's the last thing we do with that sink before it's ready at 35.
So right now he's taking stuff out of 2, putting it in to be ready to fried.
Pulling them right now at 32, 40. Basically, this is even a little early, but I'm feeling them and they feel ready. A couple minutes.
It's all ready. How high will this sink get? It's
about
right
there.
by there. Hold that up in the air for a second. I want to see how fast the water's going in.
Coming in a lot.
How much did you stir that sink?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. Don't do a whole lot of stirring except for in the beginning. There's not as much time anymore.
Some of these don't feel like they're too soft, for sure. If you stir them, is there any difference?
I don't know. I mean, we do stir a little bit. It's just not as much as we used to. Now this one.
So this is a two-man job, pretty much.
Yeah. Probably 3.5 boxes an hour for going full speed.
You got all 25 pounds in there? That's half a box?
Yeah. Maybe a little less. It's supposed to be half a box.
Why is it?
I can tell that this drop is bigger. We don't have a weighing machine, so we just eyeball it most of the time. So I know this drop is bigger just by the quantity of the chips.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them are not
Floating.
even fryer.
Yeah.
There are a lot
Do you
of
think
them
having
sitting
something on top of the chips to submerge them would help?
I think it would help as long as you're still getting stirred around. Like that picture, that video of them automating stirring with like the thing that went at, like in the fryer. Like no one was even frying those.
That's those expensive machines that are automatic. But what if you had like a basket that had a handle on the top that's like as big as half of this? So you could do like half of it for a minute or two, and then the other half.
I think it would help. I don't know if it would be more of a nuisance.
Yeah. I don't know where you'd put it when you weren't using it.
Yeah.
So now you're starting to do the circular motion. Get them away from that end. These will take a little longer to fry because
of the fryer
bigger.
messing up.
And the fryer missing up, but it's also more potatoes.
Yeah.
We got a couple of pillows.
So I just finished frying this. This filled all the way up. I turned off the water and I started the timer at 10 seconds now. This was at 18:30.
This is this thing right here. And when will you drain?
18:30 on that one. Oh, I was basing it based on the previous one.
So when will you drain 18:30 for the last time? So for
Same thing that I just did with the
like
one
another
before.
17 minutes?
At 35 basically is when you want to be pulling.
So that's half. This is half the box right here.
Yeah.
You just guessing.
I go by weight nowadays. Important to have your foot in front of this while you dump it. It moves.
Definitely not what you guys did the first couple months.
No.
And these have been sitting out for how long?
These dark ones, this over a week. I mean, try them out.
It still tastes great.
Yeah, it's still a good
They're not too burned.
You definitely can tell when they are burnt and when they're just dark and caramel.
These are so much better than when these chips were really, really cold.
How much seasoning did you put in for half a box?
A third of a cup. A half a box is pretty much 2 exact full bus cups. If you're getting that kind of quality though, good. So we're definitely both on the same page then. I don't
Yeah. Well, we were going through that phase where we had really, really hard chips.
because of oversoup.
They were kind of chewy and very little flavor. So what you're waiting on now is for
Just waiting to
be able
dump
to dump that,
so
and
I
then you can work on
instantly
that.
get out.
Okay.
Probably even do like that.
So the oil thing worked fine.
Yeah, but I'm a little worried because I looked in there and there's a couple little drops coming down from our connections, and I think it's because we didn't tighten that thing all the way into the bottom of the pump. We had to go just enough to get it lined up with the hose.
It's not a big leak though.
Probably just put a rag down there and never have to worry about it.
So when you dump these, you slide them in off the metal, or do you put them into oil totally? Like you don't dump them here and then kind of push them down with your hand. You
Not
just-
with my hand. No, just get a video or watch me next time.
yeah. How often do you change the paper towels?
Generally halfway through the fry. Dylan, are we just doing 9 a day still, or should we do more? Because we can bag the rest Tuesday. I don't know, sauce is still coming as well.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this for now.